Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out. You guys, this one is called Bytes of Light, Evolving Leadership for the Spiritual Entrepreneur. It's easier for me to say this morning, huh? You guys, before I introduce these authors to you today, I would like to say a huge thank you to our lead authors, and that's plural because this is a power couple, Angel Rohrer and Seth Rohrer. You guys, thank you so much for the huge mission that you had for this book and for bringing together this stellar cast of author experts, all with, you're going to hear it, this passion for helping you live an extraordinary life, and especially that life as an entrepreneur. We're going to marry spiritual and entrepreneur together today, which is a juicy topic. And we wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so much for what you're doing in the world. So I have a few amazing people in this Zoom room with me today. Atlantis Wolf is a shamanic life coach who uses medical massage, emotional release therapy, and dragon energy to assist her clients who are seeking permanent solutions to their physical, mental, and emotional pain. Grace Cohn is the mother of a beautiful daughter with autism and has been singing with her since she was 2 years old. Grace teaches singing to people of all ages, and she'd love to help you grow your authentic voice in order to feel comfortable leading vocal events. Gurpeet Juneja, is it Juneja or Junega, Miss Gurpreet? You say it for me.
It's Juneja.
Juneja, thank you. I always have the bio writing or reading challenge, don't I? Gurpeet Juneja is a transformational coach, an emotion and energy healer, holistic transformational life coach, speaker, author, and certified NeuroChangeSolutions consultant. And Jen Falchi is an intuitive mentor and healer who empowers clients to anchor more peace, harmony, and balance into their being and cultivate a sublime radiance. Who else wants some sublime radiance in their life? I know I do. All right, you guys. Atlantis, start us off. Tell us about your chapter in this beautiful book.
Good morning, Laura. Thank you so much for having me on. I am chapter 4, Medicine Walk, the Path of Direct Revelation. And since I'm dyslexic, I'm going to talk about it backwards. The tool that I talk about is Medicine Walk. And that is something, as an entrepreneur, I've had my own business for 13 years doing medical massage, emotional release, shamanic breathwork ceremonies, all kinds of stuff. It's critical for me to maintain a balance. I could just work, but then I would absolutely shorten my whole lifespan and probably be pretty miserable and pretty unhelpful to my clients. So I get up every morning and I go for a walk. And in my spiritual tradition, in the shamanic tradition, it's called a medicine walk. You do it with no AirPods, no dog, no friends, no news feed. You go out because the world will reflect back to you where your mind is, and then you know where you are. And then you can sort of say, oh, this is really bothering me, or I'm just getting triggered by this. And then you can start to walk it out and think about it. The chapter is about a story which sounds too amazing to have actually happened, but it happened to me, and I'm happy to talk about it. But it's actually where I was going to work, and I wasn't in balance, and I was not just, I'm going to go ahead and balance out my life and look like the perfect entrepreneur. And I was going too fast, just every single part of the day, which is pretty normal, I think, if you own your own business. And I had the experience of going through a stop sign very fast, and a car phased right through my car. And I survived it, came out the other side, and wrote a chapter about it.
And you're going to leave us there with that cliffhanger. Oh my gosh.
June 21st, go find out what happened. There or abouts.
I'm chuckling a little bit about the walk without my dog. I was just thinking to myself yesterday that I had been walking a lot lately, and he was on all of my walks. And I thought to myself, you got to leave him at home once in a while so that you can And then fill in the blank, you guys, so that we can what, right? And so here Atlantis is saying, like, just leave the dog at home. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty about that. But I don't know, talk a little bit more about that piece. Like,
So we tend to want to make people happy. So if we walk with someone, we, instead of thinking about what's happening in our internal environment, we'll ask them, how are you? What are you doing? What's important to you? And especially if you're in the healing business, you absolutely are going to be at least mildly concerned with the other before yourself, or you have a tendency to. So that's going to be true of your dog. Oh, there's a dog my dog is friends with. I'm going to go over and so that they can be together. But we rarely have time to sit with ourselves. So in the same way, you could think of it as a walking meditation, a time to just be with yourself and your thoughts, because it's being with our emotions that actually helps us understand them and move through them without numbing them or eating them or drinking them or trying not to feel them. If we're on a walk, we're already moving our body, so we're already doing something awesome for all of our biology. And if we are with ourselves and only ourselves, we have to face our own shit. I mean, we have to say, I'm feeling grumpy today, and I'm grumpy that I'm grumpy. But by the time you're done walking, no doubt you feel at least a little bit better. You did something for yourself. You moved all the fluid in your body. You absolutely helped the chemical balance in your body. And then maybe you have a better choice to say, today's my grumpy day. So what? I feel at least a little bit better. But you won't have that experience unless you sit with yourself and your own emotional terrain.
yes. Oh man, I love the way that you kicked us off today with this beautiful awareness. I think that y'all are going to receive golden nuggets of awareness today when you listen in to these authors talk about what they're writing about in the book, but also how they live their lives. This is the sandbox I get to play in every day, and I'm just so honored and grateful to be here with all of you. Grace, your turn. Tell us about your chapter.
Well, thank you very much, Laura, and good morning, fellow authors and world out there. We're so happy you're tuning in. My chapter is chapter 14, Why Avatars Sing, Resiliency Building for the Up-and-Coming Leader. And I think we got to start with the word avatar, because what does that mean? And avatar, God incarnate, is the definition I like. And God, that's a loaded word these days. I've been teaching the Course in Miracles for many years now, and a lot of younger people particularly have an issue with the word God. There's quite a lot of resistance. God in this premise is all the love in the world. Let's talk about that. So we're becoming love, and that really is what we are. We are love. That's our purest form. And I have an autistic daughter who has been such a blessing and such a challenge, for sure. When you talk about the word shit came in, I had to chuckle to myself, because my daughter was a feces smearer, so she wasn't just a mild case of autism. I would wake up to logs on my dining room table, feces all over the house. And so it was definitely an initiation in me becoming a leader of my own life. So what you were talking about, to find my balance, because if I certainly wasn't balanced myself, there's no way I was going to be of help to her. And we have, she was nonverbal at 7 years old. So I want to give you kind of just a quick picture of where she was at. So interestingly enough, my daughter now sings all the time. I just picked her up from Calgary, and we are like a nonstop musical. And it's really, it's now become part of my life. So when I saw you ladies this morning, my first thought was, all the ladies in the house, all the ladies in the house. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to check who I was speaking with today, because we have fires going on around here and people are being evacuated and there's all kinds of craziness happening. So I'm so blessed and happy to be here to share this time with you. In a nutshell, I'm just going to say, having been a teacher of children primarily for the last 25 years and working with voice and drama, and now the science that they're showing is how singing and humming affects our nervous system, affects our vagus nerve itself. So I've also been farming recently, which if you've ever done that, it's a lot of work. I love it. I love touching the earth. But I find myself, it's very interesting because it is very hard work as well. And I hum or sing the entire time while I'm seeding the plants. And it just gives you this, like being outside, for example, is one thing, which is awesome. And being in the earth itself is incredible. And then there's just this calm that you can keep going. So why is it resiliency building for the up and coming leader? Because I really feel in this climate that we're in, we need to have endurance. We need to be able to stretch ourselves more than we've ever done before. So it's that slow, steady, slow, steady. So singing, humming, it can help you literally, physically.
I love this topic, and there's so many things that you said. I wanted to, I think, rewind to the fact that I feel like singing is at this end of a spectrum of finding one's voice that is at the brave end of the spectrum. And when people are at this beginning stage of even just figuring out their voice, let alone speaking it out loud to anyone, let alone singing. And I see that spectrum of brave there. What else do you want to say about that? Like, were you always the singer, or did it take you something to get to the point where you could sing in front of people?
I think I always was the singer, but I came in as a singer. I was 2 years old, and ladies in trains were handing me chocolate bars and apples and stuff like that. But I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I absolutely agree, because I think when you sing, it's your soul. That's what people are seeing. It's your actual soul. And so, unfortunately, and this is part of what we're doing all together collectively, is we want to inspire people to be brave, to let their true soul shine, right? I mean, that is ultimately what we're doing here. And so working with people, it's been an honor actually to work with, especially adults. Now, women, I work with a lot of women, particularly, who are stepping into that bravery, who are stepping into, I'm ready and I know I'm getting the niggle that I need to be leading song, So I work with the drum, and we do a lot of drumming work as well, but it's incredible to see what comes up for the person. And then there's this therapeutic piece that thankfully I have a lot of tools, because I believe, because of my journey with my daughter, that I can hold the space for those people and help them move into that next nugget of where they are brave enough to show, their most authentic self, truly.
Yeah, and thank you for that work that you're doing. And I've known a few friends to move toward singing lessons as a step on the journey of brave in their ability to perform, literally, to be an inspirational speaker, to perform, and all of that. And I did a few as well. And the moments with that teacher where I broke down in tears inside of a healing journey in her presence made me know that whether you even sing a note for anyone else, go take a lesson anyway. Like, go do the thing anyway, like, see what it pulls up. Well, we could talk about this one all day, Grace. Thank you for what you're doing in the world. Gurpreet, tell us about your chapter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Laura, for having me here today. It's an honor to be here. My chapter is chapter 17, The Enlightened Leadership. Leaders are not made, but unveiled. And it's my story is inspired based on the, being in the corporate world for over 20 years. I have been through the ups and downs of lots of, challenges when it comes to parenting and working full time, being in office. So it's really kind of, I have picked one of the stories when my daughter was 2 years old almost. And we had some challenges with my job and what that, brought to me. So it's pretty interesting and exciting at the same time. It was not so exciting when I was going through it. Obviously, it was very frustrating. But I think that's what inspired me to understand what kind of a leader I want to be. And today, it's been over 20 years, and I have, developed teams and, built infrastructures, and I understand more deeply of how to make people be more productive, be more emotionally engaged in what they are doing and love what they're doing, rather than just making it a work and a life, separate it out. That's where I think we fall short, because we separate our work from our life. We say it's a work-life balance. Well, shouldn't work be part of your life? And if it isn't, then clearly there's a disconnect. Clearly you're not as engaged, or you're not enjoying, or it's not something where you always want to be. And I think that was very important lesson for me that I learned in my life while I was raising my kids and working, that I wanted to enjoy my work and not always feel like, when is this going to be 5 p.m. and I rush back to my family, to my life, to my kids. So it was, I think this, the medicine that I offer really teaches how to bring that, that passion, that connection with people in your workforce, and how to, actually be one family and make it a part of your life. I'm also a farmer, Grace. I also farm a lot, and I do believe in, using your hands and, using your energy to, do whatever you're doing, be it gardening, be it raising a family, or be it working. Either way, I think we show up as an energy being. And when we show up as an energy being, we understand that we can actually impact the other person with our energy shifts. And if I treat my work as something, where I am excited to just not be here as much, then obviously I'm showing that, or sharing that energy to the people around me, to the people who work with me. And while I do that, I also understand that then I'm not going to treat these people the same way that I treat my family. And why do they not deserve that treatment? I mean, I'm sharing almost 60% of my life with them, when I go to work every single day, 8 to 5. So that's what my chapter is about. And there's a very informative medicine where I believe that we don't have to we don't have to basically train a leader. We all are born leaders in our own ways, but we just have to find what does that look like in that other person, and help the other person, help your team, help your children, help your family, help your relationships, your significant other, to be the leader of their own life.
I love it, Gurpreet. I get excited when I hear you talk about this, and thinking of the difference between being at work, not liking being there, and working as a part of your life where you are fully passionate and engaged. There is such a huge gap of feeling in between from there to here, but that's really how it can be. I think so many people become entrepreneurs because of this thing you're talking about. They just can't stand it anymore. And they know there's so much more to life. They know that it shouldn't be that work feels like that, because it's so much of our time that we're spending, because of everything that you said. So I get excited for the possibilities for people to really understand that there's a lot more. And I really appreciated the way that you wrote your chapter and how you express that in your own way for your own personal story. I think that that's going to really, I hope, wake some people up to the possibilities that doesn't have to be like that. For the person who's afraid to give up the bread and butter, what are you going to tell them?
I'm going to say that I was in the same bucket, but the real story, or the real experience, actually lies behind that fear that we have of bread and butter. Because you know what? My dad always used to tell me that you have been born on this planet, and there is a set of things that you are just blessed with, no matter what you do, no matter what you don't do, but you are going to get that. And so believe that it's always going to be there for you. And if you believe that no matter what, I will never starve, my family will be just fine, I will always have a roof, you will figure things out for yourself. But just believe that it's there for you. It's nobody is there to take it away. There is no lack. Believe in abundance, and it shall walk to you. And that's what I would say, that, believe in yourself and go take that chance. Go jump off the cliff and see what happens, because you might be surprised by your own potential.
Yes, the size of your wings might delight you. Thank you. Jennifer, tell us about your chapter.
Thank you, Laura, for having me, and I'm so happy to be with some of my author family. Blessings to all of you and those who are listening to us today. I've enjoyed listening to all of you, so I'm going to pop myself back into the speaker now, and I have questions for all of you later on some of the things that you've discussed. So for me, chapter 12, recapitulation and how it births 0-point stillness. So this chapter was a very defining moment in my life. So I'd spent years of inner work, looking at trauma, releasing things, just this journey that almost didn't seem to stop. And there came this point where I realized, or this something came to my consciousness with like, wait a minute, you're done. It doesn't mean I'm not done and I won't have things to do. There's always going to be inner work to do. But the major bulk of that recycling is what I was watching myself do. I stopped and I slammed the door on all of it, just shut it like, a vault. And that's it. And we're not doing that anymore. We are going to be here and we're going to be present. And I had dipped in and out of that, but I was still in the habit of looking, digging, searching, figuring it out. So this point was really profound when I realized I don't have to do that anymore. I can actually sit in this 0-point stillness space, this stillness, and really anchor it and really enjoy it. But the question was, how do I stay here and not pop back out? So first it was a commitment and the recognition that there's this separation of that whole life, all of those timelines, and they're now closed. And what is it that's popping me out? What pops me out of 0-point stillness? Well, it's the ego mind. So that stillness gets interrupted when the thoughts come in. And so starting to really watch it and actually accepts that every thought that comes in is a lie. When I started to go, wait a minute, even the sneakiest, most, elegant things that were coming in that I'm like, wait a minute, that's all a lie. Stop, be quiet. And once I started to really accept that I am the one who needs to manage my mind, things started to shift. So the medicine is about how to manage that mind, and I'm not going to give any of that away right now, but it's really, for me, it was a profound turning point. And that's what I'm going to say for right now.
You're making me think of the still point in craniosacral therapy, where we learned that it was this middle point in, if you think of the breath as the inhale and the exhale, in craniosacral therapy, the spine has a rhythm. And there's this place where everything not shuts down, but is perfectly still. It's this beautiful place of stillness. And you made me think about that a little bit when you started to talk about this. I want you to tell me more about popping out, like help people understand by giving us an example for you, maybe when you've noticed you popped out. Obviously with awareness, you get the choice to either come back in or not. But what else would you say about that to help us come in more often?
Right, that's the key word, is the awareness, the bigger picture, and staying in that place of observing what's going on, watching the thought, then watching where that thought takes me. So, I could do these old things where I have this thought of, I'm sad. okay, I need a cookie. I mean, this is just a very basic example. So then I go get a cookie. Well, then there's 20 more cookies. And then there's this whole journey, this whole other avenue of distractions, which is what it is. And so I'm off the path. I'm out of awareness. I am following the mind and the emotions, which are all temporary and should not be, are not the guiding light. They are the things just to pay attention to so that you are aware and can stay in this place and deal with them as they need to be dealt with, but not allow them to direct the traffic, the flow of me.
It's always about the cookies. How did you know? Oh, cookies. Always chocolate chip for me. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, brilliant awareness. And I think that so far you all have heard, again, these golden nuggets of awareness. When you have awareness, you do have choices. And it's through that awareness, I think, that all healing happens, however you want to feel and define healing for yourself. These moments can be small, medium, and or large, and they have to do with your presence, your ability to pay attention in the moment to everything, your thoughts, your sensations, everything. And I'm so grateful to all of you for, not just for saying yes to putting all these beautiful things in this book, but for walking the walk every day and even being here to have the conversation beyond the book. It's like, this is how I practice, right? Because I know for sure that's going to help somebody. So let's talk about this idea of evolving leadership. Gurpreet, I'm going to start with you. What does that even mean to you, evolving leadership?
I believe that we are energetic beings, and every single day we are evolving. As the sun rises, the planet is moving into this space. We are moving in a different, every day, every second, everything is evolving, and so should be our leadership. I feel like we have been stagnant up to certain point where the leadership has only been a certain way. Leadership has been confused by management. What is, managing people? That is not leadership. And so leadership, really, to me, evolving leadership means more where, as an evolved being, our leadership also needs to change from within. And it's for each one of us. It doesn't have to be for somebody who is working or not working, or, or is a parent or not a parent. We all are leaders of our own life. We learn to lead our life in one way or the other. Or if we don't lead, then somebody else leads our life for us. So to me, it's more about, it's my time to wake up and lead my own life. And I ask this question to the audience: are you ready to lead your life? Because if you are, then it's about time, and you should check out some of these great nuggets that we have in the book.
It's a big question, isn't it? Jennifer, what would you add to this when you think about evolving leadership? It's, in the title of our book. What does this mean to you?
So that evolving leadership, I'm actually watching it start to happen in my life. So first, we're the leader within, right? And we bring in that presence and that awareness, and we can hold ourselves steady. But then we can actually take that out into the world, in a community, into different places, and hold that same presence and that ability to observe and not react, and to support others to become those leaders, to encourage them. As Gurpreet said, there is no one way to be a leader. We all think that it has to be a certain way, and you need a printer, and you need to make agendas, and you need to do this. And I'm in communities where people are like, we don't know how to do that stuff, and we don't want to, and I don't want to either. My printer doesn't work, but we don't need those things to be leaders. We just need that heart-centered willingness, right, to step forward even a little bit and trust that we're all doing it together, because there is not one person in charge. We all make those little contributions. And as a leader personally, we are vibrational leaders. When we have done enough of this energetic work where we can stand solid in our own self, and then we have the capacity, the foundation, the bandwidth to go outside of ourselves to support something else, We are the frequency leader, the vibrational leader, and it's a responsibility to be aware, to watch what's going on, and to understand actually what's happening when things aren't happening. When people don't want to do something, or throw a little mini tantrum even though they're 50 years old. Why are they doing that? And so instead of the reaction following the cookie, to the cabinet, instead of following someone's reaction, right? It's holding that place still and recognizing this is an opportunity for healing in a community, something hidden that wasn't resolved a long time ago, and now we can do this together with presence.
Oh, vibrational leaders. That might have to be a new book, Jen. And I wrote down something else you said, the ability to observe and not react. I think that's really, really huge. I think that alone has been one of the biggest things in my own healing, especially with my inner circle of family, when you've been taught from the people who are modeling it around you, the reactions. And so it's just another deep subject. On any of one of these questions we could talk about for so much longer, y'all. So just know we're teasing some of these conversations, but this community is ready to carry the conversation on beyond today. So we're going to give you some resources to connect after the interview. Atlantis, tell me your piece of this in terms of how you think about evolving leadership.
So for me personally, I always just put the word spiritual in there because I'm super spirit girl, and that is just like who I am and where I live and my daily life. So what I love about it is that it's evolving as an action. It's an ing. It's something that is happening, and it's moving, and it has energy, and it's not stagnant. It's not like, here's one thing you can do, and then it's all over. It's much more like, here's how we're going to start the conversation, and here's how we're going to amp up the whole world. And I'm an Aquarian, so I always think about, how are we going to do this for the whole world? I always think of personal leadership as, I'm going to hold my vibration and bring in the Aquarian age, the next consciousness, the raising. And I think it's by being just who you are. I strongly believe that the leadership is all about saying, this right here, this is enough. All I have to do is go inside, find the courage and the bravery to actually bring my leadership, which can just be like the sun. The sun is not yelling and screaming and saying, it is shining on everyone. And in our community, that is the symbol of unconditional love, to shine on all things equally all the time, forever and ever. So for me, leadership is not about doing. It's not about, let me show you how to put together a great spreadsheet. That's very useful, but that's not my vibration. That is not why I am here. I am here to hold the vibration that says you can be silent, you could be humming, toning, singing, or just being in a room, and that room is different because you're there. You are authentically vibrating at whatever the heck vibration you hold, whatever note in the symphony that you hold. We need it. We need you to find it, and we need you to bring it here right now, because there's a lot of work that's happening on the planet, and we're counting on you to lead with that vibration, whatever it is. And whatever it is, I guarantee you it's love.
I love what you said. The room is different because you are there. I loved that line. Thank you for that. Yes, and you're making me think of what Grace said. God is all the love there is that exists. Like, that's a big feeling. That's a even bigger feeling than God is love. It's and love, like all the love there is. Oh my God, you guys are so awesome. Okay, Grace, tell us your 2 cents on this one. What does evolving leadership mean?
So wonderful to hear all your nuggets there, ladies. So the very first thought I had, or visual I had, when you put that question out, was of a tree. I live in a national park in the mountains, and trees are always growing. In spring, they're moving out, they're evolving, they're getting bigger. We know about this. It's a funny thing. I have a sound machine that literally plants can make music with. So I work with children, like I said. So children will come in, they'll bring a little plant, and we hook it up to a synthesized piano, and the plant itself is making music. Okay. And what happens is, and it comes through the piano, so the piano's playing by itself. And what happens is, of course, everybody flips out because it's like there's a ghost in the room. The ghost is the plant. And what it does for children, what it does for adults too, is it makes you really conscious that everything that's outside of us is alive. Like it really is alive. Like it's not just some, theory. It's not just something, like it's living, it's conscious. And so, I bring that in because when you have that relationship with something like that, and you see that a tree is constantly growing, or as a farmer, you see from a seed that it's growing into this massive sunflower that you can't even believe this stalk is holding this enormous head on itself. You're like, wow, okay, so if nature's doing that, then it must be safe for me to evolve. It must be safe. To me, evolving is just growth. And what I love listening to all of you speak is it is that community that helps the growth. If we're just on our own, you think of a seed again, without water, without the earth, without compost, without some love, it's not going to grow, you know? But with the community together, it grows. And just there's so much we could talk about. This could be just a show, Laura, just,
I know
on
it.
this. But governance is another thing that came up when you were all speaking, that for me was like, oh, well, this is the thing. The governance model, I believe, needs to change, where what you were talking about, Gurpreet, is that we are all leaders. I agree. And there is a model of governance called sociocracy. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's beautiful because everybody in the circle gets a voice. And so everybody is looked at as a leader or valuable, for sure, right? And for some people who are not as verbose as our group is, let's say, this is a very safe place where they know they're going to get their chance to add in. And often those people that are the very shy, quiet ones, in my experience, have been the ones that bring so much new ideas to the table, where you're like, whoa, okay. So there's a lot of pieces here that you all touched on that I was like, oh yeah. Like, I love it. Yeah.
That's a great way to put all of those together too. Oh my gosh, the seeds, don't get me started. I follow this guy on Instagram who teaches you how to like sprout a seed. And I had my very first lime seed sprout just yesterday, you guys.
Awesome.
I checked it and I saw the sprout and I'm like, life is a miracle. And I felt so good about life, and really, like, you could look so many places and see the miracles, right? And it's a fun way to live, isn't it? Nature is just one of those things. It's instant for me. Okay, so from one juicy question to the next, Jen, I'm going to start with you for this next one. So for me, spiritual entrepreneurship has been about honing my skill of listening to my heart and making decisions from a feeling place that's actually in my body. And I have to remind myself to come back in there, when I'm thinking about everything. So when we talk about and put those two words together, spiritual entrepreneurship, what's your process? What does that mean to you?
That's a great question, Laura. It is juicy. I actually had to look up the word entrepreneur when we first brought the book out, not because I didn't know what it meant, because I really wanted to understand, what does that word mean in the dictionary? And it's a pretty cold definition of extracting value and wealth, from an external source. And I'm like, no, that's not who we are, right? So it is, I don't see it as extracting, but cultivating frequency, which is love, right? Expanding that frequency of love inside and outside and around me. And it has to be heart-centered. It can't flourish from the thinking mind. So of course it's quite the balancing act to have ideas or have a community generate ideas and then find that way to drop them down into the heart. and take the space, right, to know what the next step is. So it is a spiritual journey. It doesn't end when I leave my meditation room or when the last client walks out for the day and when I go to an HOA meeting. All that gets taken with me in the same process, and people start to reflect it and notice and start to do it. It takes time, but that's the conveyance, right, of these skills and these tools that we have, that we don't have to have a certain environment anymore to go do it, or a certain type of people to hang out with to do it. You can just go anywhere and do it. The grocery store, across the street for a meeting. It's really been this expansive, amazing, joyful way to live.
Yes, thank you for starting that question off so brilliantly. Alanis, when you think about this, being a spiritual entrepreneur, you actually talked about this already in one of the answers to the other questions, but what is that to you? What's your process?
Well, I'm laughing about two things that Jennifer said that I resonate with, and one of them is looking up entrepreneur and extracting. I'm like the reluctant entrepreneur. I'm very much like the got walked off the plank entrepreneur, because I was in a cube and my mom died of cancer, and I thought, yep, this is going to kill me too. I can see that. So I went to massage school and then thought, okay, I'll just go get a job, just because I've always gotten a job. And there were no jobs to be had because everybody said you had to have 2 to 3 years of experience. And so I said, okay, I guess I own my own business now. I guess I'm just going to do it on my own and stumble through it and work out of the 3rd floor of my house. So I was laughing about that, which of course is a spiritual journey, because you think one thing is going to happen and then, there you are. And it's sort of like, well, now what am I going to do? You figure it out is basically my short answer. And the other thing I was laughing about the having a temper tantrum at 50 years old. I'm 53, and it is a known fact in my spiritual community that I always follow the messages I get from spirit, but I always get 1 minute to roll my eyes and go, are you kidding me? Come on. I really don't want to do that project. I don't want to go adopt those kids out of that alcoholic house. I don't want to do this all by myself. Literally, I get 60 seconds, and then for the next, as long as the project takes year, 2 years, lifetime, I'm good. But I always have that like, come on moment, and then I follow the message. So to me, it's kind of having that faith. I have supreme faith in my heart. And that's really what it comes down to. All the messages that I get, they never come from my head, because they're absolutely risky, insane. Like, nobody else would say yes to this stuff. I'm basically that person that spirit is like, who's going to do it? Atlantis will do it. We're going to tell her to go have that hard conversation. And then they drop it in my lap, which is to say, into my heart. And then I have my little 60-second temper tantrum. And then I move forward. But it's because at that moment, when my mom died, and I saw how short life was, and I was holding her hand, and I saw that moment of death, and I saw her open her eyes and see into death and into the celestial realms and was past death. And I thought, oh, I better take this a little more seriously. This is not something to just walk through. This is not something to get to the end of. This is not about get the job, get the kids, get the husband, get the house, and then, I don't know, be happy. Is that possible? Is that a thing? It was at that moment that I said, nothing matters. It's just about whatever I make of all of this insanity that I call life. So it just sort of broke me open to the possibility. And I have led a life that people are thinking, how do you do that? And I think, you just don't think about it very much. Move forward. That's my best advice.
I love it. I am a similar alien as you, and I think our community is full of people doing what you're talking about, more and more and more, and the trust is growing, and you can see the results of that, and it's pretty freaking amazing to me. Grace, how would you answer this? Talk to me about what being a spiritual entrepreneur has meant to you.
Yeah, the very first visual I had when you asked the question to Jennifer was that of a medicine wheel. So I've been gifted with an elder in my life, Sharon Anderson, who is just an amazing, amazing woman in so many ways. And she has taught us the Sun Bear teachings of the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel here in Canada, I live in Canada, is a little bit different than the Southern medicine wheel. There's many different ones. Of course, the Celtics have theirs as well. But there is this red road, they call it, and it's from the north to the south. And the south represents our physical body. So it's an amalgamation of everything we've been talking about so far together. Is what you said, Laura, is, to be in the body. We're not going to evolve anything if we're not here. So again, like what you were saying, Atlantis, is we are here, and we need to make the most of our lives, right? Every minute of it. And we do all have stuff that causes us moments to get out of our bodies and to bring it back is a part of our test of to have tools to do that. So spiritual, I'm a little bit going off on a tangent here, but spiritual is the north. And so the spirit comes through the direction of the north to the south, which is our bodies. So it's this channel of connection between spirit and ourselves and the body that we want to maintain and keep open. And often we find ourselves on what they call more the blue road, which is the mental, the blah, 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 which then leads to the emotional, right? Which is, and most people are on this plane. And so what we want to do is, of course, we do think and we have cognitive skills and we want to use our brains. It's not that. But the spiritual entrepreneur is one, to me, that can listen to those messages that come from spirit. And where is that? I'm not sure. It's a muse. I'm an artist. I received a song. So I've had experiences like this where I've literally received a song. I had no intention of writing a song. The song literally just came through, fully formed music words, and has literally become now my life's work, And so that's a whole other story. But also, like you, Atlantis, then I also get those hits where it's like, what? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, are you kidding me? I don't even know her. Like, you want me to go to her house and then you find that you're like, okay, all right, I'll do it. And so, hesitantly I'll phone someone going, hey, I just got a message that I'm supposed to tell you about ABC. And and this person is like a biker chick, right? And I'm like, oh man, she's gonna just flip out on me. And it's like, oh well, that's interesting. And so you get this confirmation, because she would say, in this particular case, I was literally just on that website, and now because you've contacted me, I'm gonna go to that thing, which was a very spiritual school. And so then you get confirmation that you know your listening skills from spirit are actually good, and the channel is clear. So you need to just keep listening, right? And I think that's the piece that ties in for me with the word entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs to me isn't even about money. It's about, I think of Elon Musk. It's about someone who's willing to just move things forward, whether it's right or wrong. We're doing our best. If we're coming from heart, we're doing our best guess here. So the entrepreneur is somebody who says, we need something new. This isn't working so well. And so we got to make something new. So we're going to push this forward. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. I don't know if I've made a ton of money. I mean, I know I haven't, but I'm still here. This is the thing. It's like, I'm still operating. I still have a full, rich life. If I were to pass tomorrow, I know I've given lots and I've done lots. So I'm like, I guess in a nutshell, that's how I see it.
I love it. Thank you. Oh my goodness, so many wonderful things to think about there. Love the way you guys are answering this question. Gurpreet, it's hard to go last on this one, I know. What do you want to add to all of this amazingness?
Yeah, it's been incredible listening to everybody. Just amazing points there. What I would say is that for me, spiritual entrepreneur is where, we use a lot of our mind. We get all these skills, we learn, we put the kid in the school and we make them go through this process of learning and understanding what life is all about through their minds. What happens in the process, it's a very good saying, as they say, mind is a great servant, but a terrible master. And I feel, yet here we train the mind, and we don't teach kids or our culture, our communities, how to check in with the heart. To me, the spiritual entrepreneur is when you have that coherence between the mind and the heart. Clearly, mind has been gifted to us by the divine, by the God, so it has some use, but not where it's dictating our lives. And I think all the work that we do in the world, most of it is coming through the mind where it's dictating. And that's where why we have the problems we have today. So the spiritual entrepreneur to me is where now my mind always checks in with my heart and says, hey, what do you think? And the heart decides what it should be. And because the heart is a door to the divine wisdom that's out there. And it's not out because you know what? It's all in, all within. So to me, entrepreneur is really going within and bringing that inside world out. It's not about the money. It's not about the, leading or doing this or doing that. It's really about bringing that divine wisdom out and living to just being true to yourself. And then when you do that and you shine your light and you become the doorway and you are the messenger, guess what? People around you, everything starts changing, everything starts shifting. They all want to be like you. They all want to do things like you. And so you show them the light. You become that beacon of light, that Statue of Liberty. To me, that's what spiritual entrepreneur is.
Yeah, that vibration becomes contagious in a very good way. We like those high vibes. Thank you, Gurpreet. All right, y'all. I want to finish up with one more question. Let's see if we can do the speed dating version of it. Grace. So I really think that great leaders challenge others to step up and lead. That's what makes you a leader, is you're seeing it in other people. We empower people to do this by helping them to connect back into that place of worthiness and connect back into their own inner wisdom. Gurpreet just talked about that place that's in here. So what's one message you want to leave with everyone today about connecting to that power?
I would say trust. Trust your every move. Trust, again, so much of what we've spoken about. I would not be sitting here if it wasn't for that trust. And again, just what we talked about a moment ago is I've written another book called Children of Autumn, Autism Here on Purpose. And when my son got married, it was in Kelowna, and I got this message. So what we're talking about, got a message from Spirit to take one of my books to this Summerhill Pyramid Winery and leave it there for the owner. And I thought, are you nuts? Like, he's not going to read my book. Why would I do that? And it was insistent. You know that voice? It's like, come on, you got to do it. It's the day of my son's wedding. I'm like, you're joking. Okay, I'll do it. I'll even package it up and put a ribbon on it and say, thank you for what you're doing for the planet. And of course, I don't hear from this gentleman. But 6 months later, I'm sitting at the Toronto airport and I get a messenger from him saying, I just read your book. Oh my God, I loved it. You have to come to the winery. And why I'm telling all this story is I wouldn't have met Angel if I hadn't dropped off that book. And I wouldn't be writing this chapter on why avatars sing, and in response to your question, Laura, because we sang together in the pyramid and in the Kukuli, and we had, Angel and I and another friend of mine, Elise, had the most incredible experience in this Kukuli, and it was because of me just showing up. So somebody mentioned that. I think it was you at Atlantis, is just showing up, your presence and being you. It's amazing how that vibration, changes people. So then when Angel approached me about this book, I had just purchased a home for my daughter who has autism, and it's called the Jewel House. And it was really a dream that I had held for a long, long time. So I didn't have the financial way to make this happen, although I loved this idea of the book. And then she came back to me and said, you know what? I could do a trade with you. You could give me singing lessons, because when you were singing in the pyramid, ever since then, I've wanted to take singing lessons from you, and you could be part of the book. And I went, it was an immediate yes. Absolutely. For sure. I love it. So again, that's my word would be trust. Trust what you say yes to, even if it doesn't show up as like, oh, there's going to be some financial gain for me here. Da, da, da. It's just my heart. So everything we've talked about, ladies, my heart says yes, do it. I'm listening. Go. Trust.
I love it. I love it, Grace. Thank you. Gurpreet, how about you? What's the one message to help our listeners really connect back into their power?
So just like what Grace said, I'm going to say that there are always two voices in us. There's the voice of our heart and a voice of our mind, our ego mind. I think it's about time we start identifying which one is which and start listening and paying attention to both. And I think what's key is to make them work together, where mind might not listen all the time and might try to be the dictator and be the boss, but deep internally, you know who the real boss should be. So it's about time to take your power back and be your own boss. That's the message I would like to give.
I love it. Yes, time to be the boss of our lives inside of whatever you're doing, you guys. It's okay to be that even in a workplace, in your family, all the places. All right. Jen, what would you say to our viewers today? What's that message you have about connecting to their power?
So connecting to that power happens when we say yes. So when you say yes, you connect to that power. So I would encourage people, even in hesitation, say yes, give it a try, do it. You know why? Because we live in the moment. There can be the next moment a different choice. There's nothing to lose. It can't be a wrong choice. And that fuel is really knowing or starting to believe that you're enough. You're more than enough to follow through on that yes.
Yeses are so powerful. There's sometimes some fear there, right? This is another place you can be aware of where that is in your body. And fear is just a feeling. If we stop making it mean anything, we can still say yes when we're feeling that feeling. Beautiful. Atlantis, you're going to close us out today. What do you want to tell everyone about connecting back into that inner wisdom and power?
If it was possible for me to reach into the heart and mind of the person who is listening, I would tell them with certainty, you are the most powerful person in your life. You may feel like there's other people that steal your time, steal your energy, try and control you, tell you what to do, make you small. It could be family members or friends. It could be bosses or things like that. It is your inevitable journey to find your own power, to find your own yes, to find out what's important to you. It's terrifying, and that's why you need to be curious about it. It's trying to teach you something. Whatever you're afraid of, that's what you need to be curious about. You're never, ever, ever, ever alone. You have support on the physical side. You have a ton of support on the spiritual side. It's just about understanding how supported you are, but you're the only one who can claim your own power.
That's a really powerful way to wrap up today. Y'all, if you guys had goosebumps as many times as I have today listening to these beautiful authors talk about all these subjects, then I know you're going to want to learn more about them. So this is so much more than a book. This is a community of amazing expert master teachers who are very generously there for you to answer that question, give you that next step of support, whatever that is, right? So come on down into the show notes. I have them hooked up with their websites and links there, and go explore. They're waiting for you to reach out, and you never know what that yes might lead to. So authors, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. You guys, we're going to have another chance for you to join us. We're going to have all of the authors for a book launch party. That's going to be June 24th at noon Eastern. All of the Bytes of Light authors will be there, and you can find information about how to join us down below as well. And if you happen to be listening to this interview after that date, well, that just means you can pop over to Amazon and get your copy of this beautiful book. And lastly today, everyone, I want you to remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.